Glad you can join us for this last session of today's symposium. I'm Amanda Raiche, Youth Services Coordinator for the South Dakota State Library, and I'll be facilitating this last session today. Before we introduce our speakers, we have a few reminders to run through. These sessions are being recorded and will be posted on the symposium's webpage as soon as possible. And also a link to the recordings will be sent out to all registrants. A continuing education certificate is also available for download from the symposium webpage. You'll add your own name and total number of CE hours based on the number of sessions you've watched today. For example, if you've watched one session, it's worth 1 CE hour. If you watched all 4, it's worth 4 CE hours. That's the max that it can be worth is 4. And I think if there's time at the end when Donna is wrapping up and closing everything out, she might share a little bit about that certificate. We are in webinar mode today, so cameras are off and microphones are muted. As you might have noticed, we have a large audience today, so please use the Q&A box when you have questions for presenters. You can still absolutely use chat to comment, chat, share ideas with other participants, but please use the QA specifically for questions for the presenters. It just helps us find them a little easier. You can find the QA on the question answer on the bottom toolbar. If you don't see it, click on the 3 dots to expand the menu options. And when you're ready to ask a question, select all co-hosts and then type and send your message. Questions will be held till the end of the presentation. We do have 2 different groups presenting in this session. So we'll do all the questions after both groups have presented. And if the question's not clear who it's for, maybe just include that in there. You'll also find access to closed captioning on the bottom toolbar as well. So I think that is it for housekeeping. We'll go ahead and jump in. So thank you for joining us for our session, Taking the Adventure Outdoors, Programming and Partnerships. We'll be hearing about various ideas, resources, and partners that can support your library and outdoor programming. We'll be sharing program ideas for libraries of different sizes, staff availability, and budget, along with information about a great resource called 1000 Hours Outdoors that can help tie together your outdoor programming. We will also hear from the National Forest Service, who will share about the upcoming 80th birthday of Smokey Bear and ways to incorporate that into your summer programming using some of their amazing resources. We are joined by 4 different presenters today. First, we will hear from Annie Spence, Outreach Librarian, and Melissa Rizer, Youth Services Librarian, both from Grosse Pointe Public Library. And then we will turn it over to Susan Cox, Conservation Education Coordinator for the Eastern region of the USDA Forest Service, and Jessica Nickelsen, Director of the Natural Inquirer program. So please welcome our speakers this afternoon, and I will now turn it over to Annie and Melissa to take it from here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa, and I'm a Youth Services Librarian in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. I want to thank CSLP for letting us share our experiences with all of you. And I hope that some of what we say today and share will encourage you guys to consider doing some outdoor programming at your library. So we're going to talk about launching a 1000 Hours Outside program at your library today. And this came out of late in the pandemic. We were looking at ways to encourage patrons coming back together, and we still had restrictions in place. So we noticed one of our local patrons was doing a lot of outdoor adventures with her daughter, and she had become a certified outdoor educator. So we teamed up with Kelly Konieczki, and we'll include her information in this as well. She wasn't able to join us today. And with talking with her, that's what started our 1000 Hours Outside programming. We also reached out to the 1000 Hours website and the moderators of that, and we were able to get permission to use some of their logos and some of their existing materials. So we often use that as promotional material and as a springboard to jump off of. So today, my colleague Annie and I are going to speak to you about a couple of things. We're going to explain what the 1000 Hours Outside movement is. We're going to talk about the benefits of connection with nature, why you might consider doing this at your library. We're going to talk about how we got started, share some of our resources and ideas, and what we've learned and some of our experiences and some of the feedback that we've gotten. So to start with, 1000 1,000 Hours Outside is a program designed for all ages, everyone, and that's one of the things we love about this program. It started as a movement to replace screen time with green time for families. We've decided to do it 1 to 2 programs a month. We also incorporate to-go kits that encourage going outside and either getting materials outside or making something that you're going to use outside. And we've really tried to downsize and shift to local and very simple based programming. I'm going to hand off to my colleague Annie now to talk about a few things.
Thanks, Melissa. I'm Annie. Thanks for having us today. I would like everybody, if you could, to join us in this little activity. If you could close your eyes and picture your best childhood day. And then once you have that in your mind, you can open your eyes and either through the reactions button or in the chat, somehow let us know if that day took place outside. Yay, I see a lot of hearts and thumbs up. For me too, all my best childhood memories take place outside, sitting on the porch or spending the day at the lake. We're from Michigan, so we're blessed with the Great Lakes. It feels good to be outside. It feels uncomplicated and simple and free and wide open. And it feels good because it is good for you. Fresh air and sunlight can boost your immune system, reduce your stress levels, sharpen your mind, and improve your sleep and lift your spirits. Hospitals found that their patients recover more quickly if they have a view of a green space. It's simple and it's an easy way to improve our health. A study in Finland even found that the smell of a certain microorganism found in dirt can release serotonin, so it lifts your mood. And the picture that you see on the right there is a picture from one of our most popular programs that we've done 2 of, and that's International Mud Day. It's one of our cheapest, easiest programs. We just get some bags of dirt and a hose, and we let the kids have a grand time, and adults too. All right, I'll let Melissa talk about the specifics of how we did our program. Oh, you're on mute, Melissa. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, Annie. For starters, we decided anything, I think if you go to the next slide, anything you can do inside, we decided to try to take outside. So here's a list of a lot of the things we were doing generally anyways inside, and we just tried to move things outside. We would do giant games outside. We've done story times outside. We try to use what we have on hand. We just take our supplies outdoors. Basically, we're fortunate to have a field outside of our library, and we're in a neighborhood, so we have streets where we can walk around and do investigations. If you go to the next slide, some of the things we do, we just haul tables outside. We take out bins and put things that kids can, manipulatives, things that they can touch and see. We have a bucket of sidewalk chalk. We have a box of magnifying glasses that we've purchased. We've bought paper and pencils and just have that all ready to go with clipboards so people can do sketching outside. We'll take science experiments outside. Here we were doing an activity with bioswales and investigating how bioswales clean the water. We've made seed paper with the kids outside. The mess is really nice to clean up too outside. It's not near as messy, it feels like. We've bought tree cookies and done stamping. One time we just grabbed a bunch of leaves and we took hole punches out and just let the kids make confetti and throw it around in cups. We've smashed flowers and use the colors to make bookmarks. We go outside all year here in Michigan, summer and winter. Last February, we had a nice snowstorm, so we were able to go outside and we made some milk jug containers to sow seeds in. We have a lot of native seeds here. We've also made snow volcanoes at that same event, just with the baking soda and vinegar. We froze a bunch of colored water and had ice balls that the kids could play around with. So those are just some of the many simple things we've done. When we were deciding how to launch the program, we started off with an open house, and we did it between the holidays in December. And we just had a craft outside. We took hot chocolate out. We played some music outside. It had a few tables. They could either take the craft and do it at home or do it there. We had a little scavenger hunt that they could do we have a little kind of a wild garden area. So they could do the scavenger hunt and do some observations. One of the things that we try to use is just reuse stuff that we already have. On the next page, you'll see we just took out hole punches and cards and markers and paper, and the kids were making bookmarks. We do yoga on occasion out in the grassy field. So that's something fun. Another way that we got started was just trying to keep it simple and do really basic things. We'll just walk around the neighborhood. Sometimes we walk up one side of the street and down the other. We'll take the magnifying glasses with us and look for things. We'll take the chalk with us and make little marks on people's yards or on their driveways. We have seasonal celebrations. We have been doing a lot of full moon programs. We take out drinks in the summer. It's warm. I know some of you guys are saying it gets super warm out. So we take a shade tent out and we'll take popsicles and water out and try to, or in the winter, we'll take hot cocoa out. So we just try to keep it really simple. I think on the next screen, we have some examples we also take out a book cart and do a display of the book cart. And I guess, okay, we're on the to-go kits. So the to-go kits, we try to just encourage people to do something outside. We've done this a couple times where we ask people to make a paper lantern, and then they can go on a night walk with their lantern, or we meet together later in the evening and we'll do the walk together. And if they aren't able to make the lantern, they just use a flashlight, or they can use the flashlight on their phone. We've done some programs where we encourage them to plant seeds. We have a to-go kit where we gave them stuff to make a little nature basket. We've done weaving. We've told them go outside and grab a stick, and you can do a little weaving project on the stick. So we're just always trying to find found objects and just get kids outside and doing fun stuff. The other thing that we have tried to do to keep things simple is to use resources that are already in existence. So like I said, we got permission from the 1,000 Hours Outside moderators, and we use things from their website. We'll give kids, or we'll make available for people the tracking sheets if the families do want to keep track of the hours that they are doing outside. They have a really awesome, on the next page, they have you'll see they have an adventure prompt for each month, and they have ideas for fun stuff for kids to do outside. And also on the other side of it is some book recommendations. They have a ton of books that they recommend on their website that have been very inspirational to us, that have helped give us really great ideas. All right, Annie, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks. So Melissa's talked about kind of how we set it up and what we did. And I know somebody in the chat asked about the full moon parties. We track the names of the moon. I think the first one we did was the wolf moon, and we just learned about wolves and we howled at the moon. And I think we had some hot cocoa. It was really fun. They heard us inside. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the connections we made. We made nature connections, community connections, and partnership connections. We have noticed that getting outside feels healthy and refreshing because it is. Veterans report when they spend time outside, their PTSD symptoms lower. It's shown to lengthen children's attention spans. On a personable note, or on a personal anecdote, we've noticed that among the grown-ups that come, it seems to provide a sense of peace, and among the children, it's an opportunity for play. We've also learned through this process, we're going to be coming into our 3rd year of doing these programs in January, that the kids guide themselves. So we started out kind of over programming and noticed that the kids love to be wild and throw leaves in the air and go on scavenger hunts, and that we don't have to reinvent the wheel really. And then Melissa and I and Kelly have also noticed that we just notice more personally the changes of light, the moon, the change in seasons, all that stuff. We pay more attention to it. It just naturally makes us want to get outside more. This has been a great way to build community. It has raised awareness and investment in green spaces. Creates a general sense of community and public safety. It gives folks with limited access to green spaces and parks an opportunity for outdoor time. And I know some libraries don't have the benefit of having this like large, lovely field outside. We also go to our local park and have partnered with them, and we'll hold programs at the park. That's a great place to do scavenger hunts. It supports also physical literacy of our community as well as mental. The 1,000 Hours Outside programs are also an intergenerational program. We invite adults and children of all ages, and we found that it's a great way to bring everybody together. The seniors that maybe don't live by their grandkids or don't have younger kids in their family love to watch the kids play. The older kids love to mentor the younger kids or like create their own games. The homeschooling families and the stay-at-home moms love to come talk to other adults. And I think there have been some friendships made throughout those programs. There have also been benefits to the library. One benefit is that it's simple. It can be as detailed or as cheap as as detailed or as simple as you want it to be. It can be as cheap or expensive as you would like it to be. It draws in patrons that don't often engage with us. Like if there are people that maybe come in just to use the computer or come in and don't talk to us at the desk, we offer them a cup of hot cocoa or a popsicle as they're walking in, or they stop to see a caterpillar, or they stop to see Kelly release a butterfly, and we can strike up a conversation. We've seen an uptick in indoor use before and after our programs. People will come in when they're hot for the air conditioning after they spend all that time outside, or they'll come in, sit by the fireplace in the cold, and then they end up checking out materials. So for example, our items checked out jumped from 197 on a typical day to 304 the day of our program. We've also found that it's a way for us to talk about our library of things. We have both a seed collection and a tool collection. And so we've been able to prop those up. It also allows ample opportunity for partnerships. And if you're low staffed, you can utilize these partnerships to sort of lead the program if you don't have staff people available to do that. We partnered locally with our local park, the Nature Center. Kelly, who does the programs with us, is a nature educator. We also partnered with our school librarian who promotes it to the school kids and other community groups. I promote it to my book groups and my other clubs that I run. We've also partnered on a broader level with a couple different organizations. We partnered with SciStarter, and we've used their kit building guide to put together a bee pollinator observation kit that you can check out among our STEM resources. That's been popular. And we partnered with, I always forget their name, the Symbolic Migration Project, Journey North, where we had kids in our group color some pictures of monarchs, and then we sent those monarchs to Mexico as to symbolize the migration of the monarch butterflies. And that's the classroom in Mexico that received our beautiful butterflies. You're still muted. Sorry, Melissa.
Hi, I know we just have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to talk about some of our most successful programs. We've done the International Mud Day. We'll do programs about monarch butterflies in the summer. We've had solstice parties in the winter. I think our next slide kind of explains or shows some of the different programs that we've had, and I've highlighted the more successful ones. We've done bubbles outside. So we've learned to schedule what's best for us. We kind of have looked at the different times of day, and sometimes, you know, things don't work for everybody, but we've tried to figure out what works best. Sometimes in the fall or spring when folks are busy with school, we have less attendance, but we just keep kind of tweaking it and working with what's better for us. Every once in a while the weather will work against us, but normally we go out and no matter what kind of weather we have. So these are some of our programs. I think I just want to say that, you know, whatever you're doing, just try to take it outside. Don't try to pressure yourself. Try to just do a few things maybe. I know everybody's got a different situation, but it's really been a game changer for us. We've gotten positive responses from lots of folks. Annie, maybe want to speak a little bit more about some of that.
Sure. And we also have our slides and will be available. And we made some handouts with like a calendar of options for different events all throughout the year. So we've had a great response to this program. One patron said it's been a great transition for their young elementary child who's like too old for story time, but not ready for book clubs or some of the older kid activities. Another patron said it made her fall in love with winter as an adult, which was pretty great. And Melissa and I found the same thing. Once you get the gear, you're good to go. Other patrons said they really enjoy the walks. Their 5-year-old thinks walking at night is like cool, getting away with something. Another family committed to walking to school, and we do have the benefit of having a pretty walkable community. So they committed to walking to school all days of the year, which can be a great adventure in Michigan. Some people ask at the beginning of the process, what if you fail? And if you fail, then you still win, because no matter how many hours you get outside, it's fun and it's wild and it's healthy for you. And you don't have to, at a certain point, everybody loses track of counting the hours, but we still had a great time. And we've had a great positive response. So those are our email addresses if you'd like to keep in touch, and we put the founder of 1000 Hours website there as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Annie and Melissa, for sharing all of that great information and all of your experience. There are a lot of fun ideas packed in there, and we're seeing a lot of chat and questions. And any of you that have questions about some of the books they mentioned or the resources, like Annie just mentioned, their slides will be available on the symposium website, and also they have a sample calendar handout and ready-made resource handout available at the bottom of that symposium website. And that ready-made resource has a great book list, so if you are trying to write some of those down, that can be found there. So they've done the work for us to put that together, so we appreciate that. And there are also a lot of opportunities to find support for your outdoor programming from different organizations and entities in your area. On this slide, we have a few ideas of organizations to consider reaching out to. Some might have kits for checkout. Others might have speakers or facilitators that will even come and lead a hands-on program at your library. So it's definitely worth exploring some of these excellent partnership opportunities to help kind of boost your outdoor programming if you need some help. Feel free to add in the chat if there's an organization not listed here that you've had success in the past partnering for outdoor programs. Go ahead and drop that in the chat. other people would probably love more ideas. And speaking of great opportunities for collaboration with this next summer's theme, the National Forest Service and Smokey Bear's 80th birthday is a perfect fit for next summer. So we are happy to have Jessica and Susan here to talk about this. So Jessica and Susan, I'm going to pass it on to you now.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. I need to share my screen, but the other one needs to stop sharing for me to share. Awesome. Thank you.
There we go. We'll get started. While Jessica fixes that, we're looking at the, we don't have the presentation mode yet, Jess. There we go. Thanks. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to our session. My name is Susan Cox, and today we're going to talk about Smokey's Reading Challenge, all to celebrate Smokey's 80th birthday in 2024. The next slide. Just I don't see it moving. I don't know if I'm frozen or okay.
It is not moving. Hold on. I'm going to have to reshare. Sorry about that. All right, let's try again.
Great. Okay, next slide.
Did you try clicking on the screen and then using the arrow keys at all?
Yes, let's see.
Do you want me to try to share it on my end, Jessica, and see if that would help?
Yeah, is it because it doesn't seem to be moving? Is it going?
No, I don't see it. Let me try
Okay.
sharing since I have them here.
That would be great. Thank you. Okay, we can see yours now, Amanda.
Yes, if we could go to the second slide. Oh, great. All right. Sorry about that, folks. So our partners in this project are my agency, the USDA Forest Service, the Natural Inquirer, which you'll learn about a little more about later, and the Georgia Public Library Service. So next slide. Our program goal is to collaborate with public libraries through a free reading program that engages youth in learning about the environment, wildfire prevention, natural resource careers, and inspires exploration of the local environment. And we think complements your adventure theme really nicely. Next slide, please. The program is available through the online BeanStat program, as well as downloadable printable challenge logs. The challenge runs from January 1 through November 28th, 2024. And I know that seems like some random dates, but the challenge is bookended with Smokey's appearance in the Rose Bowl Parade on New Year's Day and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in November. So that's why those dates are like they are. The challenge is geared for children of ages 4 through 10, but we have suggested readings and activities that will work for all age groups. Next slide, please. So what do participating libraries get? They get the Smokey stickers, they get Smokey cards, and the Smokey paw stamp. Each library gets these items, and then also each state will get the large format Story of Smokey Bear to share around to do like story time readings. The digital toolkit has everything else to promote and implement the challenge, and we'll get into that in a bit. Next slide, please. But part of the digital toolkit is the Reading Challenge printable challenge log. And the sections include taking the Smokey Pledge for fire safety, learning about Smokey, campfire safety, adventuring in nature, trees, exploring careers, wildfire science, and action ideas to make a difference in your communities. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jessica to talk about the toolkit.
Awesome. Next slide. Thanks, Susan. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here today with all of you. We have some really fun stuff involved in the toolkit, and you'll see we're just going to show a few of the things here. So we have some cool bookmarks. We have a sticker and button template on there. Next slide. We also have some website graphics that are available for your use. Next slide. We have two posters that are available, an 8 by 11 and 11 by 17 that are on the digital toolkit. Next slide. We also, of course, have social media graphics for your use. So there's a variety of ones that are available on the digital toolkit for all different types of social media outreach. Next slide. And we have a certificate of completion. Sorry. This is available as a full size, a full page, or you can print 2 on a page if you want to do half sizes. Next slide. And then there's some additional incentive items that are on there. There are a variety of different kinds of Smokey Bear coloring pages that are really fun. And then one of my personal favorites is this flat Smokey activity. So you can print that out and use that as an incentive as well. Next slide, please. We also have a Smokey Bear reading list, and this is just a few different ideas of books that can be read. You can also read outside of this list. This was just an attempt to put some out there. So we have some picture books, and we also have chapter books, and we have a variety of different reading ideas in the Smokey Bear reading list, and that's available on the digital toolkit as well. Next slide. And you'll see some of the chapter books. There's also some scientist cards, which I'll talk about later. Next slide, please. And I'm going to pass it back to Susan to tell you how to enroll in this awesome program.
So how do you enroll? We have many libraries that have already enrolled at smokeybear.com. You can go to that website and see what it entails. It's not at the top of the page. Unfortunately, you do have to scroll down a little bit, but you will find that Smokey holding his 80 icon where you would enroll. Next slide, please. And so these are the states that have enrolled so far. The opportunities to register are open till December 15th, so there's still time. And with that, it gets you those materials that would be sent to the libraries. If your state does not enroll and you're interested, your library is interested, you can contact us and we'll work with you to get Smokey enrolled. I know some states probably won't enroll. Next slide, please. So we'd like to show you a few resources that we hope you'll find useful for both Smokey's challenge, but also your theme of adventure. So I'm going to pass it back to Jessica right now.
Great. Thank you, Susan. Next slide, please. One of the great resources, and I'm going to say great because it's my program. I'm the director of the Natural Inquirer program, which is a free science education program of the U.S. Forest Service and other partners. So we base all of our products on scientific peer-reviewed research. So we have journals, we have booklets, we have little readers for K2, we have coloring books and scientist cards, and some of them are even focused on Smokey Bear or wildfire and science surrounding wildfire. And they're all free resources. So you can go to our website, naturalenquirer.org, and look at all the different resources available there, and feel free to order some. Additionally, that might be a great thing to put in a toolkit at your library. Additionally, there will be more information on the website about other things that you can order. And you'll also see in the Smokey reading list that some Natural Enquirer items are also listed there as well. Next slide, please. And another great resource is Smokey Bear Live. This is another free resource. This is a distance learning adventure, and there are 3 of them currently. There will be a 4th one out in April, and it's targeted for upper elementary, middle school audience. And we'll put a link in the chat, and you can see the different programs available, but you could use all or part of this program as part of library outreach about Smokey Bear's 80th birthday. Next slide, please. And I'm passing it back to Susan to tell you about Discover the Forest.
Discover the Forest is we're trying to make that our one-stop shop for discovering the forest. And so this is a place where you can find places to explore. Some of you have been putting in, where do we go if we don't have green spaces around your library? Discover the Forest might be helpful. It's also a place to go and discover the National Forest System and where are the forests in your areas. They also have activities to do with youth and families and other resources. Next slide, please. Every Kid Outdoors program is a multi-federal agency program for 4th graders, so 9 to 10-year-olds, who can receive a pass so that they and their families can discover the nature and history of our federal lands for free. The Forest Service is a partner along with the Park Service and Fish and Wildlife and some of the other federal land agencies. And you can find activities and vouchers on the website along with ideas for planning a trip to federal lands. So the activities for you, you could potentially do this if you have a 4th grade program with 4th graders, download the vouchers, and then those would get those students and their families into federal lands that are charging entry fees. So just so you know, for your summer programs, the vouchers are valid from September 1 to the end of August the following year. So for this year, they are valid until the end of August, and then you can start up again September 1 of 2024. And just to note that if you do choose to do this, the vouchers do need to be printed. Electronic passes do not work to get into parks or other areas, forests or other areas. The next slide, please. And then learn about forests. I see that some people in the previous presentation were talking about Project Learning Tree and some of the other programs. Learn About Forest is a tool for families to learn about forests, whether they're in their backyard, down the street, or a bike or a car ride away. The resource is also posted at Discover the Forest. We're trying, like I said, trying to make that a one-stop spot. And it provides activities for families to learn together about their trees and forests. Next slide, please. Jessica, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Yes, we just want to thank everybody for your time today, and hopefully we provided you with some valuable resources. We think it's a great way to celebrate Smokey Bear's 80th birthday, and we just really appreciate your time. And on the next slide, you will see Susan's email, my email, and also Rachel. She is coordinating a lot of this. So if you have any questions or need resources and ideas, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you.
Thank you both. That was a lot of information. Everyone's asking questions, and it sounds like a great fit for next summer. So we're super excited to have these resources right in time for this summer's theme. We do have a little time for questions, it looks like. And these questions can be for Annie and Melissa or Jessica and Susan. So let me take a look. I think right off the bat, just to follow up with Susan and Jessica, several people are asking, and if you could remind everyone how it works as far as who you're getting these resources through. A couple people are wondering because they're trying to register as a library instead of the state library. So if you could just briefly remind us of that.
Yeah, we would prefer to have states register as just to kind of as shipping the materials, shipping them to the states and then having them distribute around the states to the libraries that want to participate. But like I said, if your state doesn't register, you can contact either, actually Rachel Bear would be the one, she's the lead on this project, and I believe her information is on the registration, but we will put her email in this, in the chat here too. But yeah, you can just contact us and we'll get the materials out to you.
Great, thank you. And there were a couple questions people were putting in the chat and the Q&A. And I think some people probably responded in the chat of their own ideas, but Annie and Melissa, a few people were asking if you had ideas about ways to do some outdoor programming if they don't have a great green space at their library, or maybe being outside at their library isn't really safe. Do you have ideas for them? Some of the programs you've done that they could kind of alter?
I guess I would say, you know, everyone's talked about some partnerships, and so we will take our programs on the road. We have a couple parks nearby. We have some museums that have green space that will partnership with them. We'll do, like, one year we did a to-go kit of a bird feeder, and we partnered with a local park and museum that has grounds that people could show a picture of the bird feeder they made, and then they could go spend an afternoon or a couple hours walking around at that park. So Annie's also put together a really nice brochure that has a list of a lot of the parks nearby, and different opportunities for outdoor activities and experiences that we have available at all times for people to pick up and take with them. We just did a program we did the full moon for the beaver moon, which is kind of a preparing for winter, and it was really cold out and super windy, and we were just outside at our doors, like we have like an overhang, Annie, would you call it, and a little sidewalk, so we were kind of just hunched up against the wall to block the wind, and just right outside our door though, and we were out there for about an hour and a half with people. We had hot cocoa, and we were doing some crafts and talking about the full moon coming up. Do you have anything to add to that, Annie?
I would just say that sometimes I think the presence of, like, if you can, like, if somebody was saying that they're maybe in a dangerous neighborhood, but if you can get 70 people from the library to hang out outside, it kind of lends itself to making the neighborhood safer when you're doing it continually. I wouldn't want to put that on one librarian to make their whole community safer, but yeah, and the Discover the Forest resource looks like a great place to find some green space that you might be able to field trip with your library as well.
Great, thank you. And somebody asked if there is a place that they can find or get copies of the monthly calendars you showed briefly in one of the pictures. I'm not sure if I don't think that's one of the resources that you shared. Is that something that they can get, they're wondering?
That's available on the 1,000 Hours Outside website. So if they just go to their website, and they can get that on there. I think, what do they call it? The outdoor adventure prompts. If you search around on their site, they have a PDF file that you can download for every month.
Yeah, and it's free. We just print them, and then if nobody takes them all 1 month, we just save them for the next year.
And anyone can send either Annie or myself an email, and I'd be glad to email links to some of this stuff as well.
Great, thank you. There was a question somebody asked, and I think this could be posed to both groups. Somebody asked if they've tracked their 1,000 hours outside via Beanstack or another reading tracker online. And I think that could be also asked to the to Susan and Jessica. Annie and Melissa, do you want to go
Um,
first?
1000 Hours has an app that you can download on your phone or your device to track your hours, but we didn't collaborate with our program's an all-year program, and we probably will this year since it's adventure theme incorporate summer reading into it, but we didn't do anything with Beanstack.
Yeah, we've kind of left the tracking to each individual family. If they, like Annie said at the end of our program, any time outside is a win. So some of the families have taken the tracker sheets. We'll print them off from their website and leave them out sometimes for people. Or we just tell them where they can find them if they want to track their hours specifically.
Great, thank you. And Susan and Jessica, did you mention that in your presentation at all? I don't recall if you touched on.
For tracking hours for participation, is that what you're referring
Yeah.
to?
Yes, I think they were asking specifically about 1000 hours outside, but I thought there was some sort of element with the digital toolkit that included something for Beanstack.
Oh, well, yeah, in Beanstack, well, the challenge sheet that we showed that you can download and print is pretty much the same as on Beanstack. And so there are outdoor ideas posted there, but yeah, not really tracking hours or any time outside.
Okay, great. Looking and seeing. Somebody is asking if the fourth grader pass, is that for those that have completed fourth grade in 2024 or ones that are entering fourth grade in 2024?
So the
How does
pass,
that work?
yeah, the passes that you can download now are for current fourth graders. So if you're working with fourth graders, they can still get a pass and use it until the end of August. And so the beginning date when they become valid is September 1st. That is incoming fourth graders for that school year. So for next year, September 1st will be for the incoming fourth graders for school year 24 and 25. The current passes are available for fourth graders in our 23 and 24 school year. And that I know some of you are probably working with homeschoolers or other groups equivalent to fourth grade. So that's like 9 or 10-year-olds.
Great. Thank you. I don't think there are any other questions. So I think we're good. Annie and Melissa and Susan and Jessica, thank you guys all so much for the information. And I think we all are leaving with a lot of ideas, information, and resources for next summer. So thank you all for your time. And I'm going to hand it over to Donna.
Yes, thank you again to all of our presenters for the great information they shared and the lively chat. I think we often learn as much from our participants as we do for the presenters. Lots of great ideas in the chat, and we really appreciate your attention and all of that. I did want to share my screen for a minute, and I'm just going to go to let's open up the symposium website here to give you guys a little glimpse at where you can find everything. So this is the symposium page, and this format will change a little bit once the recording links are available. And so if you scroll all the way to the bottom, this is where you'll find the certificate. And when I click on it, it automatically downloads. For you, it might be different. You might have to choose where it downloads. But once it's downloaded to your computer, you can fill in the space for name and for hours. And so here are the handouts we've already received that are ready for you to access now. But I just want to give you a peek at last year's. Do you see how the recording link is shared and the slides are shared and the chat is shared? That's what 2023's page will look like as soon as we have all of that information ready to share with you. And we will share an an email with all registrants, and we had over 1,000 people just asked for the recording links. So while they knew they couldn't attend live today, they wanted the links to the recording. So also we do have an evaluation. I'm going to go ahead and share these slides and see if we can get to the final closeout of our session today. So I just really wanted to thank all of our presenters again. Really appreciate that. This is the link where the recordings will be available. And that's the frequently asked question page that I already shared in the chat. And then if you guys would just scan this, or if someone would pop that in the chat, we'd really appreciate your feedback. And let us know what you really valued from today's presentations, and also what you hope we'll see next year, because we will continue to do this each year. I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if there's any other questions we can answer. Great. We can go ahead and stop recording, and then I will just hang on for just